Мы начинаем сегодня наш урок.
We're starting our lesson today. It's a unique lesson. We'll be talking in Russian, and our friends will receive translation. The lesson will be about the topic of work in group. That's the first part. And the second part, what is the second part about? About dissemination. That's what they tell me. Everything depends, in a sense, about what you want, the way you'll orient us according to your questions. So let's go according to the pieces they showed, the reading pieces they showed. Rabash Article 14, the importance of love of friends. There is when we adhere to the Creator, the thoughts go from one to another, and everybody receives the strengths of their friends, and they attend the strengths of the friends of all the group. That's what we need to understand, that none of us has anything other than the Rishimo, a small spark of yearning towards spirituality. Nobody has any more strength than that, and even that spark can die if you don't feed it. Don't keep on lighting it with some sort of burning material. So if a person is not in a group, does not receive from the group, and impression, if he does not include himself with the thoughts and yearnings of the friends, then as a result, there is an inner slowing and he can't move forward. These people, you can see how they gradually they cool down and eventually they leave. Everybody has this state where it's revealed to him that he has to be included in a group. There's all kinds of states before that of feeling uplifted and down feelings. Everybody has these periods. They can be latent, but anyway, they still exist. Later, of course, if a friend attends lessons, even if he wants just to understand the wisdom of Kabbalah and he doesn't even realize there's a group, anyway, he still studies with other people. Even though he doesn't want to, he participates in all kinds of actions with everybody. So this latent, this sleepy period passes and he starts understanding. He reaches this conclusion, this thought, like an automatic vending machine where you put a coin in, clink, he receives this understanding that, yeah, I should include myself with a group. Some kind of inner contact comes to be, and gradually he accumulates these inner actions, and after a certain level of accumulation, he starts understanding the work in a group as essential. For every person it's different. There are people to whom it's gradual, and for some people it's very difficult. They don't want to, they insist, they don't want to do this mutual work, but the law remains the same. None of us has any ability to even touch spirituality. Before we even talk about living in spirituality, existing in it, if only we receive from the group strength, desire, abilities, a understanding which is higher than ours, and so forth. This is why you can't say anything here about this topic. When the thoughts adhere and the feelings adhere, strength goes from one another, and everybody attains the strength of the whole group, strength of feeling and strength of the mind. Meaning every person, even though he is one part of the group, he attains the strength of the whole group. Rabash returns to the same idea, to the same concept. So there is no possibility for a single person to enter spirituality. He needs to deal with other people. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to change it. This is why let's start to perceive these sentences of the Kabbalist, these words of the Kabbalist, as very concrete instructions. Any questions? Peter, Moscow, and everybody else. You already have prepared questions? Okay, come on. Let's start from this. There's lots of variations of questions about the 10. And people want to... It can be about tens or about hundreds or about several tens. For example, in Moscow or Peter, they have several tens there in each group. So what's the problem? I don't need to close myself only in my own 10. We need to be in touch with each other. A 10, it's the minimum strength of a spiritual kli. Less than a 10, it's bad, even though it's possible. Less than 10, it's bad, but more than 10, it's something we don't feel that it's more, but it's better to divide ourselves into several tens. This is what Yitro explains in the Torah. What can I say about this? Rabash, when we study with Rabash, we're divided not into tens. We're not divided into tens. And when I came to the group, I came into this group, he said it would be good if I'd go into the group, and the group was from 6 to 7 people. And the rest of the groups were 15, 16 people
and the
strong.
rest were 15, 16 people. There were 3 groups, 16 people each, and our group only 6 and 7. This was the approximate number of people. Between 40 and 50, let's say. Yes. Now it's another technical question. Now, if we have 14 people, should we be one group or should we be divided by 7? Well, probably it's better to stay as one group, but if they're not on time to process the questions and to express their opinions, it's better to divide. No less than 5. And no more than 15. That's what I would recommend. The difference in the group work, the difference between 10 and tens. This question constantly is repeated. The homogeneous state of the group, where they randomly put together. It doesn't matter. The people were put together randomly or accidentally. It's not an accident. There's no accidental. There's no anything about it. And when they gather together and they begin to work in that 10, here especially, how can I say it? It's very direct management upon them. And they shouldn't think that it's accidental or something happened by accident. There's no accident in anything that happens. And the rest all depends on them. I have to be connected to 10 like one single unit. And to the degree we reach this state, we will feel that we connect and that we deplete. Our energy is depleted, and it's something that consists of many parts. Proteins, internal connections. It's one cell, but we need to be connected to other cells as well. So when we put together our 10, we will feel the need to be expanded, to expand ourselves. We will need more information. We need more external. If we connect, if we just hold on to each other, if we are in ourselves, we're gonna die. We have to be under the influence of the creator, of the nature, of the external light, of the surrounding light. And the 10 will have to find the interaction with other 10s. Inside of the 10, there is a precedent. One of our friends are writing that there is one 10 is created with more strict laws. If I want to create my own 10, the more proper one, what should I do? With more strict laws, I think it's possible. It is possible. Nevertheless, especially if we take here in the Baruch more strict laws, and not all people come throughout the whole week. Sometimes they leave earlier, they come later, they can't communicate with others throughout the day. So it turns out that in the group, not even possibilities, not even capabilities of connecting to others. There are no even friends. Therefore, for that purpose, we need to match them together. I would say yes. And I can say that according to the example that we had, the structure of people of Israel, according to the governance of Jethro. Jethro is a person. It's as a person. It's the spiritual force. He understood in egoism more than Moshe, that he didn't relate. He wasn't related to people of Israel. He was just a father-in-law of Moshe. And when he came to the settlement of Israelis that came out of Egypt, he set the laws, set the rules, and he understood the inner conditions of the uniting the egoism, and in what way it is better to organize it for the correction. Moshe is the degree of Binah, and he could not do it. But Jethro, which was related to Malchut, he could. And we see that from his division, he divided so that people in such sense, they divided them into Kohanim and Leviim. People that could give it themselves into more intense work and could lead others, and could be in a higher tempo of the advancement. They can stay apart. They can. And the rest, there's always a part in the group that pulls everyone forward, and the entire group advances, and from that benefits. There should be envy. There should be envy. We always talk about it. Therefore, it's good that there is a special group or several groups, and they show example how to advance forward. And the rest, with envy, from what they see and the example, they will follow them. So basically, we're not for the communistic, gray. We are that everyone is even equal. Everyone has to aspire to the Creator and has to show it. But it's not about, it's about involving younger people, younger group. Otherwise, we'll have very strong 10. Yes, we'll have 10, strong 10, and weak 10. We should not limit those who aspire forward. We have to help them, raise them, and show them as an example to others. So the 10 has to be homogeneous. If we can put together the strong 10, you should do that. But we have to do it in such manner that they would influence others, so that they can pull others forward. That's very beneficial, of course. Our group, let's say, with Rabash, although we had only 6 or 7 people, it depends on when. There were different periods. It was very strong. It was very strong, and it was as an example.
Up until now, we've been trying to include virtual friends into the 10s, because there are many of them. So, for instance, every 10 would have 1 or 2 virtual friends. So they're asking how to go about this now if we're trying to make the 10s more homogeneous.
I think that it is possible to do it always.
Зависит так от местных условий, что я не могу тут сделать какой-то общий вывод.
I can't do some conclusion that is acceptable for everyone here, but I wouldn't. I would connect those internet virtual friends, but under the same condition, under the same rules. Can they be with us together all the time, more in the morning and the evening, and so on? That the virtual connection wouldn't be as a barrier. We have to feel those friends. They have to be as if they were next to us.
Maybe now we'll let the friends ask. Moscow, St. Petersburg.
Tikachin? No. There's no sound? We don't hear anything.
Maybe Moscow then?
Moscow, you try, please.
Rav, what does it mean that a 10 is strong?
Strong 10 depends on the local conditions. I see that Denise here in Moscow already. He can tell you he's fresh from us. Strong 10 is the one that gathers before the lesson, 10-15 minutes prior to the lesson, which even before that, on the way to the lesson, they include each other to the topic, and they discuss what Rav tells them to discuss, and they play with each other in front of each other. To a higher degree, they strive to a higher degree in which they are right now currently. They arouse each other, arouse the friends toward advancement forward. They gather together during the day, virtually, over the phone, and maybe just support each other so that the person doesn't fall off from the proper thinking, proper thought. Maybe gather in the evening. There's Moscow, Peter, I don't know. There are conditions when it's impossible to gather physically. I heard that you have such traffic jams in Moscow, maybe virtually even, to gather together. And somehow they hold this spirit together. They read before the sleep, some article, or they do something. Basically, they support each other to such a degree that how Robust says that the entire group would have the strength. You see, when I take the strength of the entire group, it's not only 10 times more, it's a million times more, because it goes it goes beyond annulling my own ego, suppressing it above it. And therefore, there's a acceleration of inspiration of our connecting with each other. Each one of us represents the strength that he got inspired by the group, got from the group, and they connect together. And on the next level, each one gets inspired by the next level of our connection. And once again, we gather on the third floor, third level, and so on until the infinity, to the world of infinity. So everything is in our own hands. It's a labor that continues to the length of the path. Throughout the length of the path. So he writes further, it's an article. Make yourself Rav and buy yourself a friend. Friends that agreed between each other to gather together in a group, they understood that their opinions are not far from each other. They realized the necessity of work over the love of friends. That's the most important, to realize the necessity. That's the cornerstone. It's the only single condition. Therefore, love your friend as yourself is the pillar of the whole methodology. Therefore, each can yell to another, and they on that condition they can connect. So how can I check myself that I'm ready to connect to others with my friends? To the degree I can compromise what I have of my own, and I see that it acquires this direct character, and I don't want to hear about it, and all of a sudden I hear about it, and that the fact that the person who acts that way advances, and I sort of push it away. It doesn't live in me. They ask people, right, so and so, but I don't understand the necessity to realize it. But gradually, especially when friends arouse me to do that and show me the example that that they act among themselves in such matter, and I find that I'm not among them, amongst those. And I don't even hear what they say. And then I begin to hear. And then when I begin to hear, I thank them. I'm very grateful to them that they always aroused me until I realized that indeed it is necessary. The stamina is very important here. Although he's not willing to do it. He needs to be shown the example. He needs to manipulated by his self-love and to show him that we act this way, in a certain way. Yes.
Question from the young group. When we advance, we see great pressure. We feel great pressure from everywhere, from the group, from the family, from the job. There's always this desire to let off steam. So where should we do this? In a group, in a society, or where?
The steam is let out, I'm afraid to say, during the meal, so that it wouldn't turn into some kind of the beginning of this common, like debauchery. But for that, it is given this state. When friends sit together, they sing. They don't talk with each other about anything. No articles, no nothing, no excerpts, but just songs. And common thoughts that are dwell between them. And of course, it's good to have a little drink there so that you can get up to the lesson for next morning.
From St. Petersburg or Moscow? Ralph, can I ask a question? Lately, you've been talking about envy as a necessary tool for spiritual advancement. In our group, I often notice that our envy isn't white, the kind that is helpful. Not the helpful kind when I'm envious and I want to be like a friend, but it's black envy. And the opposite when I want to denigrate the friend. I want to forbid something from the friend so that he doesn't distinguish himself. So what do we do? How do we turn this black envy into white envy?
Well, it's not only the envy. We read about a lot of thoughts about it. That you need to upbring or you need to raise your friend as a great friend, and you need to raise the group as if it was in final correction, and you have to see the group in. That the Creator dwells among them in that group, that all our friends are in the final correction, and only I'm in such. I have to arouse myself so that I would see them in such light, in such way. Otherwise, I won't have strength to advance forward. Therefore, I have to kick myself. Look how they talk, look how they speak, look what they do, and they just run away from me forward. And I can't follow them. I check them as if I was a spy. I always observe them. And I always try to reach them. I try to jump on their car, on their wagon, and I'm trying to fly with them. In contrary, I have to not to lower them, but to seek the such state amongst them. I can tell you that I do the same for my friends, for my students. I always have to. I have to find such state when they pull me forward. I'm telling you seriously. I have a very serious envy toward them. Not only envy, but jealousy. I'm telling you in complete serious way. And Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma shows us such example. You won't have strength to advance forward without it. You and them, you just bury in such a socialistic, gray state in which we existed, and the one that rises his head, he gets knocked out. And you won't have strength to move forward if you do that. Instead, each has to show that he is burning with the goal of the connection Let them be envious. You help them. Don't think that their jealousy will stop you. People are afraid of jealousy, of envy. That it's a bad sign. It's not a bad sign. There's a clear concealment of the Creator in it. Let them be envious. You only support them in this way. You give them huge support by doing so. We don't hear anything.
We understand that everyone works in this way, but the general influence of the environment.
Now we hear.
All right, so you see the general influence of the environment when you have people kind of banding together against other people. You can't do anything about it. How do we overturn this notion in a group? Not in one person, but in the entire group as a whole.
Until you enter the spirituality, you will have those problems. And even afterwards. And after, they will be only, and they will be afterwards also, but you will be able to realize them in the right way. The way you read and Rabbi Shimon, which wrote the Zohar, which they were writing Zohar, and their hatred was turning into love to work with those desire in the right way. And even today, we have those desires, those qualities appear in us, but you must attempt to react to them in a proper way. They're not going to go away, but only by moving them to the level of the spirituality, you will be able to realize them in the proper way. So that's the only thing that I can advise you. You must support each other. You must rise above each other, above oneself. This is our level. Go up to the front desk, like a student. Draw a line. This is my level. This is me. And now I need to be above this line. What does it mean to be above this line? That means not to be jealous of my friend, but I have to be glad that he gives me such envy. It's a great strength to pull me forward. He shows me that there is something above me, higher than me, and my ego pulls me. At first, I want to negate him. I want to drop him down, but not him down. But then the group shows me how to realize it productively. You need to discuss it in a very serious manner between yourselves, and very frankly, be very frank with each other. You have to look at each other as a laboratory from the side in which the correction is happening. You see? When I see the doctor and when he takes analysis, I don't care what urine I have in my blood, whatever I have in my blood, whatever. You have to take it all out. You have to, display it openly. And you need to rise above all of that. You play with each other in such a beautiful society. You're afraid to, touch each other. You have to rise above oneself and be what's above all. You don't have to argue. You shouldn't argue. You shouldn't. But from the side, from perspective of a third person, and you should see what you can do. It comes from the Creator. But how can we overcome that? You can't be on the level on which there is your heart and your mind is on. When you are inside of your heart and inside of your mind, you cannot resolve anything. You can't make a step forward. You can't react properly to what you feel, to what you think. You have to rise above it and have to look at yourself as if a doctor looks at the patient, and everyone the same way. Discuss it among yourselves. All right. I don't hear. When are they going to turn the microphone on time?
А где сидит этот, который включает-выключает? А где? Но. Сейчас слышно.
Now we can hear you.
Сейчас снова нет.
No, we can't.
Питер, вы меня
Peter,
говорите?
can you hear us? Please, test us.
Да, давай.
Question. To continue Oleg's question, we have a practical 4 people. They worked in a certain region, and now we are preparing another 20 people who will go there to work in February, and many more desire to go there, but we can't send 100 people. We're very resourceful. We chose 20 people. So several people have a question, why wasn't I chosen? So this invited envy and anger. People felt if they don't choose me, then nobody should go. Second question, should we do a seminar about this question? Thank you.
То, насколько я могу понять из того, что я от тебя услышал, потому что слышимость была ужасной.
From what I understood of your question, because I could barely hear you, you must have some very special, talented, quote-unquote, specialists sitting over there who, as you say, wish to disturb. This I see, first of all, in everyone who deals in sound, in all the groups around the world, they all seem to share this quality. I've had this special relationship with them for a long time, for many years now. So you're asking me a question that I cannot answer, Kostya. You see, I don't know how to handle these questions, but you need to make a comparison. I hear in Moscow you have these mastermind criminals gathering together, gangsters, made men, and so what can you do? You can have a gathering together and try to find a solution. You need to solve these questions, of course, but you need to rise above yourselves. Every single person needs to rise above himself to connect together, connect into a single mutual goal, and to try to solve the problem from there, and to remain on that level. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to solve it on the corporeal level. We know this. We know that on the corporeal level, the world needs war. Every couple of years, the world essentially needs war. Currently, that's what's being done. There's war here and war there, and that's why, there's no world war just yet. It's being kind of played out, but we're still moving towards it. Likewise, from small clashes, you're going to keep moving towards this great explosion. You're going to implode from within. You have to put the goal above yourselves. I cannot imagine how it could be how envy or jealousy is allowed to be displayed in such a way, because it stems from the sensation of a broken kli. If we're aspiring towards unity, then it doesn't matter to me which work is done by which friends. It is also, I'm part of that work as well. I am credited with it as well, because we're all included into the same kli. For instance, if we all have to put together a car, I have to assemble the rear transmission. Someone else is assembling the gearbox. Another person is the engine. Someone else the controls, and so on. So why am I supposed to be jealous or envious and disturb those who are assembling another part of our common kli? We need to rise above these things. A person needs to feel joy within himself, gladness from suppressing himself, lowering himself. But this needs to be an attitude, an atmosphere in the group that I suppress myself, I restrict myself, and I find pleasure in this restriction. Rabash had that. What he did, he would point at his body, and he would say, "Let it suffer," with this malice almost. I looked at him like a little child, not understanding what problems he was speaking of. But we need to live on these sharp, sensations, these thrills almost.
Задавайте вопросы, и будем их обсуждать.
Ask your questions, and we're going to talk about them.
Между нами существует в десятках группах, и как нам их вывернуть в плюс для продвижения каждого из всех.
How can we take those pluses and take that into as to advance?
Is it a loop that's going on? What's happening? I don't know. But you need to do this workshop. I cannot imagine such a state and me, like what questions I could ask you if you guys in such a state. I am in a state where I am sometimes given such states when I am envious of my students. I'm envious of them. I feel like they're bigger than I am, like they're more successful than I am. And I am happy when I get those states. It's at the same time I feel pained in my ego and like malice in the system of corrections. You need to put yourself in a state that Rabash always talks about, the greatness of the goal. Greatness of the goal, the true goal, not what you might put before yourself, the goal to be some kind of guru or something. But the greatness of the goal will correctly arrange the values for you, and then you will understand that you need to suffer a bit in your ego in order to ascend. That it's for you. We cannot advance without suppressing our ego, or rather, maybe not advance, but without overturning it. You're given really good conditions: jealousy, competition, rejection, repulsion, all sorts of negative forces. that at any point you can work with them, and at all times you can work with them. There cannot be a worse sensation or state when the Creator just leaves you alone. The light doesn't influence you, and you just like a calm animal. And when you're getting these impulses that are good for your advancement, then you need to be joyous. You need to be glad.
Such direct question. Is it possible to advance without 10?
Essentially, advancing in a 10 is possible. I don't know, on the first stage. I don't know how to characterize it. Until a person realizes that it's like a coin that it gets dropped once you put it in a slot, into a slot machine. And he realizes that attainment of the spiritual, attainment of the Creator, takes place in the connection between people, in the correct connection between people. And this correct connection between people is what we need to calibrate, like a musical instrument. Every string needs to have its own tone, its own pressure with respect to the other strings, and together they need to work in unison. When a person understands that this is how he can find the Creator and the correct interconnection between 10 people, that's when he needs a group. On the other hand, in order to understand this even, he also needs a group. That's why when I had brought students to Rabash, he immediately began to gather them together for them to start uniting. And that's what we did. We immediately broke them down, put them in a group. And he started writing articles, and as we were advancing, he would write articles for us to help us.
This general question, today there's already the understanding that when you work in a 10, in Moscow, it naturally happened that this atmosphere came to be, that from the 10s, any friend can be in a 10. There's this anybody represents the whole 10. There's this. Can you disseminate this form virtually? How do the 10s have to be in touch?
Yes, that can be done. You delegate a person to being a leader of 10 or leader of 100 and so on. That's how it should be done. I think the representatives of these 10s, the leaders, should be switched. Oh, they are switched once a week. Okay. So maybe once a week is too much, too often. They may not have the time to connect into their work, to engage in their work, and to see the result. But you can experiment. But that's the right thing.
A week there is a gathering of 10s, and the question is being passed through that 10.
I understand. So what do we do now? Do I keep reading, or you guys have questions? There is a question here next to Kalchenko. Go ahead, get up, whoever is there.
Is there a balance? Is there a balance between is there a balance? Very bad sound.
Hold on a second. Some group has their mic and their speakers turned on. If you don't turn them off, your microphones, except for those of whoever is speaking, then I'm not going to be able to hear anything. Do you understand that or not? All groups other than St. Petersburg must turn off their mics right now. Or the only thing that I'm hearing is myself. Now get up and talk.
Balance between external actions of 10 calling each other before sleep or something, and the rest, and in inner work, what's the most important? How to find this balance?
I don't know what balance you're talking about. What I'm saying is that a 10 needs to be connecting together several times a day. And in the evening before bed, that's mandatory. No more questions. Yes? Is there Moscow? Or are there any other cities? Kiev, Moscow, if you have questions, please go ahead. Go.
И Москва тоже не включена, а Москва не включена.
Как нам к ним относиться, как к товарищам или как к кураторам?
Еще раз повтори вопрос.
Какова роль кураторов?
What's the role of the group leaders from BB, and how should we relate to them?
Hold on a second. These people, the curators, moderators, are they from your group or they're from the young group?
Your group, moderators.
Honestly, I don't know. I do not know. That's the best answer I can give you. I'm not in these states. I don't experience them. I don't see them. I cannot talk about them. There's no answer. You'll figure it out yourselves. The important thing is, if you have the goal set before you, it's clear, you'll be able to figure it out, what needs to be done, and the work you need to do. Go ahead. Turn on your mic.
Слышно, да? Да. Вот с одной стороны вы говорите, что нужно вызывать...
On one side, you say that you need to arouse the jealousy, the envy, and on the other side, the ego is much pleasant for the ego if you do something and nobody knows about it. Why did I do this and nobody knows about it now? But when you arouse the jealousy, it comes to you as a reward. How do you do it that everybody knows about your actions? What's better, that everybody knows about your actions and you don't get a reward, or to punch your ego and
We need to work in accordance to what the article says, to evoke good envy in the friends. But I do this on purpose, in order to evoke in them the good kind of envy and to bring them closer, to bring them, to raise them, meaning in advance, beforehand, from the start, I relate to them in a good way, as if they're my children, and I try to find the strength, the force of their development. And I see that if I give them such an example, they will advance. Or that example, they will advance as well. It doesn't matter if what they feel looking at me, as long as they're advancing in a good way, in a good path, not from something negative or bad, but from the envy that I evoke in them, it needs to stem from my kindness, my benevolence towards them, not from a malicious, spiteful intention. That way, if I show them with a good intention, that I am moving towards the goal, that I feel good in this aspiration forward, that I'm working on myself. If I demonstrate all this for them with the right goal for them to aspire as well, then my friends will not have a negative attitude towards me. It all depends on how I activate myself and my thoughts in them, and how I demonstrate these things to them. If in this I try to activate them towards the good goal, come from my love towards them, like the way I relate to a small child, to my child, when I try to get him to engage in some activity, then they're not going to respond negatively towards me. The attitude that I show them causes in them the reaction, the return reaction towards me. Yes, go ahead. Next, this is what Rabash tells us from letter 42. We need to understand what it's like to be one man with one heart. It is known, as the sages said, as their faces are different, so are their the way they relate, the way they see the world, their worldview. So how can they be one man with one heart? Answer: if we say that everyone cares for their needs only, then they cannot be as one man with one heart, because they're not like each other according to their natures. But if everyone cancels themselves, their egoistic desires, and cares for only the Creator's benefit, and all aspire to Him, then they don't have any private individual perceptions, but they all enter the Creator's domain, the single and unified Creator's domain, meaning we all connect into Him. This is what we need to achieve. If we don't aspire, aim ourselves towards the goal, then for sure we are in a descent. The Creator needs to be at the start and at the end of all our actions, in the mind, in the desires, in the physical actions as well. Kiev, we see you now. Kiev. Well, Ukraine, wake up and ask a question, just to be, for appearance's sake. Vienna. Why are you laughing? Everyone's writing something like you're some kind of private investigators. Ask questions, friends. Ask your questions. If not, then we're going to keep going.
I have such a question. After finishing education center, women are included into the group actions. What's the most important that women has to learn according to what you teach us?
After the Kabbalah Academy, how long have you been studying there? 6 months? 12 months? I don't know. Is that enough for women? Do they learn the fundamentals of group work, of the tens? They get this information, yes? Well, they need to organize it somehow. Kabbalah is a very practical science. Look, I've been writing books, more and more and more books, until we started working practically between ourselves, until we started gathering into tens. And since then, I don't know, like I don't even see the point of writing anything, because everything is just practice. Everything now goes into students who are becoming instructors, and they develop into instructors and teachers themselves. I feel that whoever is finishing the Kabbalah Academy, they need to be organized immediately into groups, into tents, and they need to be taught Kabbalah, integral education. Female instructors can be even more, far more effective than men. They are more consistent, more stable. They have more strength to overcome their mood swings, the changes in their states. Women are a lot stronger than men are. That's just nature. We understand that this is how it has to be. They're the ones who give birth and advance the generations. So we need to use women correctly, give them the opportunity to shine and to cultivate teachers, and if whenever possible, to organize groups and tents out of them. But teachers can be and should be taught very practically, like given 6 months, and then they can take teaching courses.
Next question: can the 10 make the advancement worse?
A person who's in a 10 is already in its hands. Only if he disconnects and falls under the influence of somebody else. A person is only under the influence of his environment. If he's in a 10, that's it. That's the end. Whatever will happen with the 10, that's what will happen with him. It can't be any other way. We don't really get it yet. We think we're in a 10, but I am in the 10. No, that's not the way it is. It's not me in the 10. There's no I which is in the 10. This I already does not exist. Either you're in the 10 or you're I. But I am in the 10. This duality cannot be in you. It's a incorrect orientation. It means you're not in the 10. Yes.
Regarding the Men's Congress that's coming up, what would you recommend what should we pay attention to? What else?
The organizers of this Congress contacted me and asked, what should we do today, meaning during this upcoming Congress? Maybe we'll change all the limitations, so those who postpone all the limitations, so those who weren't in the last time, they will be with us. We'll have a huge General Congress. I was surprised. So much that I wasn't even able to hear. I was simply amazed by their lack of love to their friends. Meaning, they don't say for no reason that whoever does not punish his son hates him. If we pass the Congress and we concretely formulated these rules without which you're not in contact with spirituality, how can we let go of these rules? They said, no way, how can you even think about that? The next Congress will be rules which are even harsher than the previous ones. How so? We'll discuss it. it doesn't matter to me if last time how many people we had here, 100, 150? Here. 150 here and 150 there. As far as I'm concerned, we might as well have 50 people here and 250 there. The most important thing is that there will be a correct example to everybody. What do we have to yearn towards? Otherwise, we will not reach the goal. This is why there will be additional rules of participation. Obviously, they will be disseminated with certain limitations to the outside groups because they have a different situation in here. But there should be basically the same rules for the participating in the Congress. Those who want to participate with us should understand that these rules of participation are essential. It's not me who commands the spiritual steps. Oh, Kiev. Kiev.
Rav, we have the question regarding the organizing this Congress that's coming up in our group. You don't give us direct instructions and you tell us, decide yourselves. And that's decision. Decision is the most important. It turns out, how can we make that decision in the group? It comes out that in the group there's a minority that are in accordance with those frames that are accepted in Petach Tikva to participate in the group in Congress. But if we vote, of course, we're not gonna accept the decision according to those rules because the majority want to be in the Congress. So we don't have this effect of envy which you're talking about. But there's this desire to get to the Congress easily. We don't want to have any division in the group, but according to the last Congress, with weaker conditions, we don't see that there is a special envy and the desire to pull yourself toward the next Congress. We don't observe that. So what should we do? Should we aspire toward so that we have a homogeneous group and the group would gather in the stable condition with weakened conditions? Or we should select a special group of people that are going to be in very strict conditions, like in Petach Tikva, in the same framework, in the same frames, to participate in the Congress?
I don't even know what to answer you, my dear. There are people here other than me. There's 400 people here beyond the door doing all kinds of things this morning instead of studying together in our learning hall. And they gave us this morning. I don't know what to answer you. Do you understand? I'm not in Moscow, I'm not in Peter, I'm not in Kiev, and in no other place. I don't know these conditions. I don't even know the local conditions. I'm not in the skin of my student who wakes up in the morning and runs to the lesson. I don't run to the lesson. I go down one floor and I'm already in the lesson. I don't have little children screaming all night and not letting me sleep. I wake up normally. I take a hot shower. Wake up normally. I look all kinds of learning material to come to myself, to prepare myself to the lesson. A normal student can't allow this to himself because he goes to sleep after evening dissemination and he barely sleeps a couple of hours. And afterwards, after the lesson, he runs to work. We also have a breakfast here now. How long do we have this breakfast? a month and a half or so, we have breakfast here. I think that's very good. Every morning, a person after the lesson who runs somewhere can have a breakfast first downstairs. We have a dining hall, and there they have breakfast. Afterwards, he runs to work. From work, he comes here, or maybe home for a couple of minutes. He runs, maybe needs to do a couple of things. Run to the bank, to the supermarket, something else, and so forth. In principle, he has a family also, yes? And so forth. He's all the time. And there can be traffic, and maybe lives far away, all kinds of problems. I also can't take it into account. I'm not in his skin. When I lived like a normal person, when did I live like a normal person? Sometime before 1980. It's already 35 years later, and I have a different life. So I can't give you any advice. Somebody from your group lives far away, maybe doesn't have a car. How does he come to the center? How does he get to work? He has a family. How does his family support him, or maybe not? Relatives and so forth. There's a huge amount of surrounding conditions. What do you want me to advise you? How can you decide about participation of your friends in this men's congress? I don't know. I'm telling you this because I don't have an answer. I think that a person who tries with everything he has and attends 3 times the lesson, maybe with all of his strengths, he can't participate anymore. He doesn't have some kind of right or something else. He needs to get up to work, stay at work until late, or he'll be fired. I don't know. You have to decide all this. You have a different set of surrounding conditions.
To add, you also in Petach Tikva have different conditions and the same problems with families, with transportation, and this is the same people. But there, with you, there's a certain decision that we act in a certain way. But how can we have this conduct this Congress? We can't come to a single conclusion. We can. Only if we go on the path of weakening the conditions, and we include all the friends into the process. From us it seems that for you it's simpler. That it seems like somebody accepts and takes this decision. We have certain frames, and we all align to them. You can annul yourself to it, but here we think about them ourselves, and we can't focus on the Congress itself. How can we make this create this source of envy, which you have?
Envy, we can. How can we awaken envy in somebody who's lazy, who doesn't do the rules, but when it's higher than him, there's no effect. I'm 20 kilometers from the center, for example. Listen, I have no possibility of getting there. Twice a week, somebody gives me a ride somehow. Then I arrive. But in the rest of the days, I can't. I sit in front of the computer and I study virtually with this group. Question: can this person be with us or not? If he's all the time with us virtually, of course he can. Either virtually or physically, of course he can. What's the problem? He participates in the center. He pays for the upkeep of the center. He pays maser and so forth. You participate in everything that he possibly can. Yeah?
The problem there is that the decision is made by the entire group and through voting. So they can't. Can they somehow select a commission that can handle this and will define who can participate and who cannot? This friend of ours said that the entire group cannot make a decision, that they have to let everyone in.
I don't have an answer. They should figure it out. No answer. In Torah, there's a very simple example. Ship stands. Two people come to the city judge. One person says, "It's my ship," and the other one says, "This is my ship," and he wants to take it from me. What do the judges need to do? The judge says, "Get out of this room and figure it out between yourselves." That's it. There's no documents, no proof, no possibility to figure this out. Go around the corner and figure it out. That's it. What can you do? Next, or maybe I should read. Yeah? Okay. Rabash article, Torah is the middle line. A person sees the faces of his friends, but needs to believe that behind their faces the Creator. And behind their faces, that's the face of the Creator. In other words, behind a person, the Creator exists, and He makes him. In this form, a Creator decides everything. This is a problem. How can we include that there's none else besides Him and that everything happens in the name of the Creator? Or are all these obstacles done by my beloved friends? But you have to include these two concepts somehow. All of these questions are decided only in the group's unity, and then everything falls aside. We unite, the Creator is revealed inside as the connection between us. He feels between us all the feelings. He's within us. You don't need any philosophy. Behind everybody is the Creator. Where is He? Where isn't He? Is He peeking from there somewhere? I'm looking now on Kalchenko. Behind him, the Creator is speaking. Yeah? There He is. Yeah, now I see. This is all decided only in the unity. Peter, please, you have a question?
Which criteria we can accept this? There should be criteria of maaser and dissemination.
No two ways about it. It's explained very simply. Maaser, everybody have to pay, even a beggar who begs outside. Maaser you can't take only in two conditions, from a thief and from a whore. That's what is written in the Torah. So if a person declares that he doesn't need to pay maaser, it means he's one of both, and maybe both of them at the same time. Next question.
Rav, tell us please, there's such an example which brings up the envy, like Elizar, where no matter what Congress, he is always there at the Congress. And he always watches all the lesson, there's no doubt about it. And how is it happening? How is he
How does he get
Yes, how
here?
can he get to all the congresses? How is he advancing?
I'll tell you. There exists the rules of accepting guests in an honorable fashion. When somebody comes here, you can't tell him not to come. He uses this. Even though, of course, if you compare him with many, many friends who don't participate in our congresses, he's possibly much worse than they are. But I'll tell you, if you'd come here, even if you'd come here and the group of Peter wouldn't accept you to the Congress, here we would accept you. Because you're a guest. A guest is the owner. You understand? So he uses this fact and he arrives here. On the other hand, he invested so much in our, how should you say, in our group, in our efforts. He put a huge amount of effort and resources. So I'm very thankful to him on account of all of that. Elazar has his own problems with the group, with the unity, with disconnecting himself from others. But this is all in steps of advancement. He'll come to it gradually, but what he did on any account in the past, I cannot forget it. In principle, his reliability, his efforts, they brought into place the organization we see today in the Russian-speaking sphere. He was the first, or one of the first, who started to organize all of this, put a huge amount of resources and efforts into this. Millions. And a lot of effort. So, I'm not even talking about that, but I'm talking about the fact that he's a guest. If somebody comes here, we'll be obligated to accept him within our group, as if he's the best friend there is, and the best student and participator and everything. The only thing possible, if he doesn't pay maser, because that is a rule of participation from the Torah. But the rest, if he studies every day or several times a week, dissemination, just know that can be possibly discerned. But if he's formal in the group and pays maser, that's an essential criteria for participating. All of the rest can be covered, overshadowed by the fact that he comes here as a guest. Any more questions? Who's there?
Let's say we exited, like you said, in Torah. We are trying to scrutinize among ourselves. How can we decide when we should be quiet and we should express ourselves? How do we scrutinize, according to myself, how to be included and so on?
If you're going to talk to somebody, hug him. And stand there for a minute while hugging, so that you'll feel that between you it's possible that such a connection will arrive that within it the Creator will show up. And after that, they discern your relationship. And suddenly you will reveal who's the owner of the ship. And then everybody will ask together to reveal the Creator, and let everyone listen to their friend, and he'll be smiling in his own eyes and will desire to hear something from the friends like you hear to the Creator and how to find the Creator. And let everybody do this. This is from the book of Mao and Shemesh. light and sun. The book was written by a great Kabbalist. This book was very much beloved by Baal Sulam. It's a serious book. It's a big book. Is it translated to Russian, or did they only translate small excerpts from the book? So everyone must consider their friends as essential to his adhesion to the Creator. Lyosha, come on.
Hello, dear Rav. Thank you for such a lesson, amazing in Russian. So I have such a question. Approximately what Timur was talking about, and we were reading about. Well, we're not in the condition to accept all the conditions, things that are coming from you, and in that. So that he would hold on to something, a single thing, to something, one single thing from the framework, to the greatness of the Creator, to the dissemination, and so on. So it comes down to that you can't do anything. And that puts us, as far as I observe, maybe only during the congresses, it doesn't go away, that kind of state. And these are such swords which we use to for a battle between each other. One holds on to one, another to another, one to greatness of the Creator, another to something else. So what can we do with this? Well, it's not really clear. I don't know how to continue my question.
I'll tell you. Of course, you need to allow some time for drop by drop. These drops will enter the heart, and it will start feeling that there is nobody other than the friend, that is the single soul, which is one for all. Not their outer bodies, but their inner yearning to the Creator, notwithstanding the fact that it's hidden. This point in our heart is within an egoistic heart, and we need to somehow annul these hearts, and then the points in the heart will connect between themselves. To annul one's heart means notwithstanding to unite in the hearts, and then in the unity between them, their unity will be 613 times stronger, 620 times stronger, and then beyond our world, the world of infinity will appear. It's work that we need to constantly work at, and every time we come closer to it. As they say, every drop becomes a big
То, что вы проходите все равно состояние. Главное не удирать.
Whatever happens, you go through all kinds of states. The most important thing is not to run away. Again, you argued. Again, somebody offended somebody. But this is the path of correction. This is why I say all the time, friends, 10 years, it's, as they say, in the time of Stalin, they used to say that. That's child's time. That's the way they said it, right? So we're also in the same kind of situations. You need to attempt to shorten this time, you know? if you do a good job, you can shorten the time. But I don't think we have much left. Between us, I'm telling you this openly, and I repeat it many times, you are in a movement of correction. You can't imagine this path. You can't imagine this ascension. And you are the vanguard of this path. You are the first voyagers, the first people who open this path. I don't know how to say it. It's very complicated actions that you do now. You're doing this for all the people on the face of the earth, for all the parts of the shattered soul. You are the first people in the world who break down this wall between us and the upper world, us and Kabbalah. So you shouldn't be surprised. You must understand that this is all essential criteria. This is all essential situation. This is all coming from nature, from the Creator. All of your lack of desire, laziness, tiredness, all of these, how can one say, all of this arguments between yourselves and so forth, these are all corrections of these egotistical desires which now you must correct. You correct them with the strengths of your state, your situation. Maybe can you correct them in any other way? I don't think you can. The most important thing is don't run away anywhere. As they say, other than exit. Other than leaving, everything else, continue, argue, even though it's better to go in a good path than not in a bad path. It shortens the path forward. It accelerates it, but never mind. The most important thing is not to escape, to make sure that not even one friend run away. I argue with you, right, we hate each other, but you stay in a group. This way. Under no consequences I should ever have such a thought that I would wish that this person will not be in the group. Only if he causes harm, if he truly causes harm. We studied this with you. Rabash wrote about this. We read these articles not more than once. The most important thing is the intensity, to try to raise the intensity of the movement forward. Yes, Lyosha.
Here we have an opportunity to go over the countries. We have the upcoming holidays, New Year's holidays. Before the Congress, which is on 8th and 9th. So we prepare for this Congress ourselves. We even called it Congress itself, this preparation. We're going to stay a few hours after the lesson. We're going to work together. So it can be a direction to warm up. That's my impression. But it's like a fly that gets into honey and it moves, but it's not really helpful. So we would like to scrutinize that to clarify that.
What can I advise you to spend your time on, to deal with? I don't know. I would advise you to put the group under something that everybody can do. Have short trainings, lessons about integral education. Gather everybody and discuss the conditions of our unity between us.
The
attributes of the Creator so that this kli will be revealed between us, so that within this kli the light will be revealed. Write down these conditions. What kind of conditions should we have in order to bring our unity into effect? And how each of these conditions, how can we move towards them? How can we make all of our friends keep all of these conditions more and more and more? Who of our friends succeeds in these conditions but doesn't succeed in different conditions? Concretely, how can we direct ourselves so that between us we will make clear the direction to which we must advance, and so that we will go in that direction, so that it will be in front of our eyes, and not something unclear, something all wishy-washy. I think starting this new year, this is a wonderful mission, a wonderful task. And this is what everybody should orient themselves towards. Exactly what kinds of states should we have between ourselves, our general state, and how must we move forward in order to attain the conditions of the Creator on this most minimal, on the most minimal level, one part of 125 steps.
So, understand, how can we come to a common conclusion, decision? Say we pick 1, 2, how can we learn to come to a single conclusion, decision? The common decision, that's we have to define ourselves, what the group should be like, our 10, our unity, how, in what matter it should be. And after we define this condition, we described it. It's like a technical data, a scheme of our unity. 10 people among themselves. What unite them? What should they feel among themselves? How should they relate to each other? How should they react to? Where is this balance between us? How should we support it one for another? I fall, you support, and we balance in this matter. So after we create this model, after that we can say that, guys, this model is too theoretical. Practically, we cannot carry this out. Let's accept some preliminary conditions. 50% less, let's say. What can we do? Allowances we can do to ourselves that will allow us to carry the care. So we say we can do this, we can do that. So let's come to an agreement. Let's come to an agreement that one do this, the others do that, and third ones do this. That's possible. Let's say you live in Petushki, a village called Petushki, and I live in the same house where our center is at in Moscow. So I obligate myself to be at the lessons every day. And while you come from the village of Petushki, it's, there's no way to get here. So we add to each other, but before, in advance, prior to, we plan these actions, meaning this our unity, this our, and we just describe it, and we can do that. To a lesser degree than what's required from each one of us, but it has to be explained, it has to be described.
Still, from a technical standpoint, can you tell us what is a common decision? Friends are asking, what does it mean to come to a common decision? And as far as logic, just how do we feel that we have come to a common decision? When the light will give us the sensation, what does it mean to reach a common decision? We are adding to each other. How do we reach a common decision?
Decision, general decision, if each rises above oneself. It's not a decision in our minds. It's the decision, mutual decision. It's the decision in aspiration. Otherwise, it's, just a gathering of some gang or something, but not a group, Kabbalistic group. Therefore, how can I put it? Therefore, I say that you must find for yourself that form which fits you all, which is attractive to all of you, and it radiates. You somehow aim yourself toward that, come to it, and you lay the path. But it's all above your egoistical decisions or all kinds of other decisions. I don't know how else I can put it. Yes, Peter.
Конгрессу, если можно, такой частный случай, нужен ваш совет.
We want to get back to the Men's Congress, if we may. We need your advice. Before even announcing the Congress, we were doing a big dissemination event in the suburbs, and we have a lot of people to participate and pay for the participation, over 50 people. And we have several of our friends who need to conduct it. They actually live in a hotel with those people. And we're afraid of canceling it because it would be damaging to our dissemination if we cancel the event. But it's on the same dates as the Men's Internal Congress. So what should the 10 do that has those friends who are supposed to participate in this event? What's the spiritual solution here?
I don't know, Kostya, what to tell you. There's nothing else. There's nothing more, more necessary than dissemination. It's as taking care of the baby. Imagine that you are in a state, you are ill, sick, or some dangerous condition, or it's very dangerous for you to get sick. At the same time, you have to take care of a baby, of a child. That means that you leave yourself, you don't think of the consequences, what's going to happen to you, and you take care of that baby. Meaning, there's nothing more important in the world but the care for the next generation. That's how the world is built. Therefore, we must carry out this action. Although our 10 is going to be detached from us. That's the answer.
Is it possible for us to participate somehow? The 10 men that are, can they somehow unite in order to be there with all the men at the Congress? Maybe you can tell us some secrets, some preparation we can do, some exercise, or maybe after the event they can catch up and connect with everyone, so they wouldn't harm themselves or the world group.
Act upon and on this dissemination in one thought, in one action, they will experience the same thing among themselves, despite that they're not physically there. they'll have questions why they're not participating in the congresses. That they're losing spiritually. The rest are there. They will forget that it's the group that define the general level, and they're participants of that group. And not only that, they're messengers of the group, and they carry out the work, and we owe them all. Let them have these thoughts, and as a result, they're not going to lose anything. They benefit in that, we benefit in this, and we then exchange the spiritual potentials. Yes, let them not connect to us. Let them do what. Let them meet the purpose they meet there for.
Is there some exercise you can suggest? The guys are saying, what are we? Could just like a diver, pearl diver, right? We just like suck in our lungs full of air and then dive to the bottom of the river. What do we do?
Toward the uniting among themselves, they have to detach themselves from us. Under any conditions, don't mix those tendencies, those two ways to learn, to teach the new ones. And you can be in two directions to connect to upper one and to lower one. There's no such state in nature. They must be given completely to their action, completely. To the degree that they forget about the Congress that we have. They are delegated to a complete different action event.
Questions about dissemination that we had gathered beforehand. Golub asks the following. What is dissemination? We always talk about it, but everyone thinks has their own notions of it. What is dissemination?
Attraction to the general unity, which is called the one single soul, and also attracting non-corrected parts of it. That's the dissemination. Dissemination of unity toward the uncorrected souls.
There are cases when a person is just officially listed as doing dissemination, but what are the practical, actual conditions, criteria for participating in dissemination action, or in dissemination in general? Like, how many people does he have to see and talk to and engage in? What does he have to do?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer to that either. All the questions that are being asked today, they're resolved in the attainment. A person, let's say, labors on some works in some very important position. I don't know. He does some kind of a small movement, and it helps to us in dissemination. How can we take that into account? How do we take that into account? Did he do something significant or not? It's all accounted absolutely how individually, according to that particular person. There are people that are that contribute and contributed before, lots of big sums of money. And they can let themselves do that. But besides that, it's incomparable. It's only compared on the spiritual level. I can't compare the inner tension of a person. I can't weight. I can't measure. I can't give any measurement to that. It's all done from above. To the degree of revelation in a person of his participation in others, meaning in his soul. That's my participation in others. That's my soul. In that my movement, I begin to feel what's within me, what's outside of me, the Creator. All that is possible only after the revelation. Yes, Moscow.
Hello, Rav. The question I have is, what does it mean to speak about with the friends about the greatness of the goal and the Creator? There's a lot of empty talk that we have with each other, and I think it's because we're not sure how to structure these talks. Like we can say, well, the goal is great, but what? That's the end of the conversation. So how do we do this at our current degree?
Talk about it much. You should show with your actions, through your reactions, how close that it is to your heart, and the words completely wash off the inner meaning. There is nothing left because of that. Nothing left. It's like water which runs and washes off what's, the construction workers are afraid. They put the rain goes and it's gonna wash off everything, and only the sand will remain. So we must be afraid that it wouldn't happen. What are we doing next? We are ending our second hour of our lesson. If a friend has the love toward friends, the law is such that we must see the merits of others, like our kids. So if he sees the imperfections in another friend, that he see that those imperfections are in him, that means that he hurt the love of friends. Therefore, he must understand that not the friend has to correct as he sees it, but he himself needs the correction. Well, this is high professionalism, but that's the way it's supposed to be. We must aspire to look to the world in the right way. The one that negates the other, then the negation negates from his own negation. Yes. Yes, who's asking the question? Moscow.
About the Congress, we have a situation, and friends are asking, the local criteria, is it everyone who decides, or only those who adhere to those minimal framework? Morning lesson be three times a week morning lesson.
Answer to such questions: there are groups that gather. They can't gather more often than they do. So 3 times a week, that's it's considered for them as 100%. We have it in Israel here. Israeli groups, not our other Israeli groups. They gather. There are such that gather together 3 times a week, right? There are such participants in our group which come 3 times a week. They can come more because some conditions. So you need to check yourselves how it is accepted in your group and how the group is accepted as 100%. So that means it's 100%. Yes.
Does he also? But can he also influence this question that we make a decision on? Those of us at the World Kli, should we adhere to these criteria as well? Rav says, I don't understand the question. He's asking, a person who comes to the group once a week, can he participate in making the decision about the criteria for the Congress?
He can't. If the entire groups come and he doesn't have any rights to vote. He is as a guest there, and I don't even know how can he be considered as a friend or participant. How is he a friend? How is he uniting with others, with them? In what? So let them remain in such a visitor. Yes.
Conducting corporate events at different corporate companies, is that integral education?
We conduct them, we gather in tents, we discuss how we reveal the Creator, not the Creator, let's say, but the common force of love and unity. Where is this question coming from? What corporate gatherings, the company gatherings, happy hours are related to what we do in our groups? I think all these gathering or all these parties are just nothing but concealed orgies. That's what I heard, at least. Of course, they bring to unity, but of some sort. But go on.
What is more important, dissemination over the internet or physical engagement with people?
That in our time, the dissemination in the internet is the most important thing. It's such a great source of connections with others that we must master it as much as possible, and we must do our conduct our unity, conduct our seminars, whatever is possible, and to disseminate that as wide as possible. Only through this tool, through the internet, we can carry to the world the message of the purpose of the creation. We can create many organizations from different parts of the world, from different countries, which will always fill up the internet with integral education, with Kabbalah, and in general, from all the sites, so that they always they would always work on people, so that the person would always come across. No matter when he goes to the internet, he would also always.
A question. I see more and more that the dissemination in Israel is most important. So was said by Baal Salam, and then you echoed it as well. So how can I contribute to dissemination in Israel?
All of our groups in all countries in the world, despite the nationalities, or regardless of nationalities, they have to constantly contact the Jewish organizations so that they can disseminate the literature, so that they could go onto the local internet sites. So basically, they have to transport to those Jewish organizations. They have to bring them the message of their purpose, and the rest, of course, everyone will come. But right now, the question is that those who have this burning yearning toward the Creator, which is called Israel, straight toward the Creator, that's their essence, that's their purpose. The Creator wants to pull them toward Himself, and they're followed by those who had this rishimo in from the past, and they realize that 2,000 years ago, and they have to be awakened. And we must, in all groups of the world, we must come to those Jews in all countries that reside there, and try to find ways how to distribute our literature, links on their sites or on our sites to them. We can have seminars in their organizations. I don't think that if non-Jews will do these work, they will receive some kind of resistance. I see that this is the direction everything is moving toward, even in the United States. I just need to understand that the Jewish organizations will gladly absorb this organizations that are not Jewish, that are aspiring toward them, and different people, separate people. I don't think we should be afraid of it. We just need to find the right approach, so it doesn't look like holidays like Hanukkah, like Purim, which is coming up. A very good holiday, very kind, very bright. When people give presents, it's very joyful, very festive holiday, and we should use this holidays. Passover also. It's all these holidays are connecting, uniting. So I think we need to use these opportunities, and not only this. We can invite them. We can do something on their territory, the seminars, and so on.
A question. It's a strange question. Should we work with secular secular religious organizations?
Right, to do everything. There are no restrictions. We are on such a stage of worldwide dissemination, that I can't even say what's prohibited. We are on such a degradation, the entire world. Look what's happening on Ukraine, Russia, in the Middle East, in America, and in Europe. It's everyone feels this clarity. So everything is allowed. Maybe if in the past we would say no, you can't touch these, you can't touch those. In the last half year, everything has changed completely. If half a year ago I said do not touch them, now everything is kind of canceled. You can go into any organization, any places. It's all for you to decide. Just try to bring up the interest in unity, in connecting, in connection.
Should we speak about the fact that Kabbalah is the source of everything we...
And wave that flag in front of everyone's... But we'll see later. We can tell everyone the message, but we shouldn't call it Kabbalah. First thing is the integral education. Integral education is the same as Kabbalah. It just talks about it in a different language, in the language of science. What's the difference? You don't say sheelot, masaf, tzimtzum, and so on. That's further. Kiev has a question. Kiev, give us your question.
What is the algorithm of reaching a group decision using the system of tense? When you have 2, 3 tense, what is the quorum of the spiritual principles, and how do you vote? What are the laws here that are in play?
each 10 has to come to a general decision. If they didn't come to a single decision, that means that they're not 10. When the 10 comes to a decision, the representative of each 10 sits with other representatives and they decide among themselves. So that's clear.
What if there are different opinions in the 10? You have like 2 or 3 people are not participating, but 8 people out of the 10 are for. Is that a unified decision? Or what about if you have 10 people, but 9 are for, 1 is against? What if someone is not present? What are these criteria for unity?
I think I said that the decision has to be mutual, otherwise it's not 10. All the rest, your complications nobody needs them. Further, Pasha. 8, 10, what stupidity it is. Otherwise it's not 10. 10 is 10. If it's 10 to 6 people, then and everyone participates, they just don't have more opponents. That's called 10. 10 is the one single group. That's it.
Question from the young group in Moscow. There's a very strong young group there. Would it be effective for advancement if we take one general project for the whole group?
I don't know. Those are local conditions that they need to figure out.
Rav, about the young group. A person studies for half a year in the campus, 2 semesters. They send to us from Israel a 3rd semester. He studies once a month. People from the general group come and help teach this lesson. Women come from. There's people from all kinds of campuses there. I'm talking about a specific situation in Peter. These people learn the articles of Rabash about work in the group and also about Arvut and Mivo. In what stage do these people have to go through? This group we chose to attend there to discern this. Of course, men and women study there together. They study about work in group, but it's men and women. We have a catastrophically minuscule amount of men there. What do they need to do there? How can they enter the Peter group, the general group? How can they enter the general group?
I would include them in the main group if they are capable of it. Of be meeting these criteria more or less, of being in the main group. That's for men. As for women, I would leave them either to complete the 3rd semester, if there is a 3rd semester to be completed, or I would include them as well. What's the point of keeping them outside of the group? Is there a reason for that?
There is.
Есть определенный резон, да, люди, пройдя полгода обучившись на кампусе, есть следующая, как сказать, динамика развития их, да, это пройти статьи Рабаша, понять вообще вкратце, что такое группа. Уже они все-таки становятся там более самостоятельными. Даже вот элементарный пример, им раньше делали чай, сейчас они его себе сами делают. У них раньше деньги собирали, сейчас они деньги сами собирают. Стулья расставляли, сейчас они их сами расставляют. И вот так далее, так далее. Такие вот из таких мелочей выстраиваются такие более основные.
Disseminating by themselves, small things like that. They have to do with dissemination from the point of view. How can you say there were certain moments a person entered a certain project in dissemination and he doesn't understand what it has to do with Kabbalah. Here he receives.
So are they studying Kabbalah or is this an integral education course?
I can say about the 3rd semester. In the 3rd semester there's 2 main courses. One is about the articles of Rabash and the other is entering the integral education. In order for a person to understand that these are 2 languages speaking about the same thing, one is towards the general public and one is about the unity between us.
Alrighty then. I'm not even sure what to tell you. Everything is right. I don't know. You need to. I am for. Here we also have the so-called young group on the one hand. On the other hand, we also have veterans. I don't know. Should they unite together? On the one hand, it's good if they're united. On the other hand, it can have harmful consequences. These can influence the others in a bad way. We've seen this many times. State when a group unites as one, and then half of the group remains. While they existed separately, they existed and they coexisted well together. So I can't tell you what to do. Honestly, I can't. Friends, you need to understand that we're going through these main states. We study them, then we experience them actually on our skins, and you need to learn from practice. Through practice, you need to see how we need to act. Everything that Rabash wrote about, yes, he wrote about it, but he didn't write about everything, did he? And if you're asking me, I don't have answers to many things. I don't know your local conditions, or it's just because such a state has never before existed in the world. You know, all we know is what's been revealed to us. If something has been revealed, we know what to do, but if it hasn't, then we don't. We are currently in a state when newer and newer things are being revealed to us. Look, take for instance the workshops. Who knew that such an idea, such a notion as a workshop would be revealed? We were advancing, we were developing, and suddenly I saw that the time now has come to actualize this, that this is the 10, the main unit of one, in which that initial degree of unity needs to be actualized, and then hundreds and thousands and so on. And so I just started implementing it, putting it into practice. If one day prior to that point someone were to tell me to break the group down into tens, I wouldn't have done it because I didn't feel the need for it. And then it happened. This is how we work, this is how we advance. Only in accordance with what we feel in our inner state. That's how it comes into being. Then there are other things that we feel that we do need to do them, and then they fade away. And that's okay. That's how it's done. Then they come up, other things come up, and we try them, and though they fade away as well. So this is the answer. You need to try to find the answers as you go along, on the go. And that's my honest answer to you guys. I would love to give you solutions, but I can't. Right now, we're looking at, look, we see all these pictures. You have Astana and Westminster, Nikolaev, and what else? Swali, I can't read it. Just Shaulai. You have Prague and London and New York and Rome. So how can I answer questions that are bound to very specific inner conditions of some kind? So we're going to be drawing near the end. Yes? What else do you guys think we need to do?
A question about disseminating in Jewish circles. You said that it's not enough, these circles. First of all, literature, afterwards circles. You said even that's not enough. What do you call education in Jewish circles?
I think that Again, it depends on who we're addressing. For instance, I was just in Los Angeles and in Washington. While I was there, I met Jewish circles, the people who head them, lead them, and yesterday I entertained here people who are involved in organizing Jewish communities in America. Yesterday I had 2 people, and today I'm going to have 2 as well. I'm always in contact with such people. The point is, it's a different state there. Different than what's in Russia or in the Baltics or in London or in Europe. So we need to see how we can come out to them and approach them. First things first, I think we need to see how to best approach them, either via the internet or in person, or maybe we can participate in certain workshops with them. We need to look for points of contact, mutual overlaps between us. I think it's possible. In America, it's easier to do that. In Russia, it may be. We perhaps would need to approach them in a special way. But that's not a problem. There was a question in Moscow, yes? Moscow, go ahead.
Rav, I have a question about the article. Can I ask? Which article? The one we read. If I see something that's not good, I need to understand that it's in me. But there's this point in me that loses the importance of the goal because, for example, there's clear things. Somebody was a thief, and everybody knew he's a thief. Other people don't steal. If a person doesn't have a foot, I can see that he doesn't have a foot. I have a foot. I wanted to understand this. What does it mean that this constant lacking?
First of all, we're not talking about someone's leg here, but about your perception of a person and his qualities. In accordance with the rule, he who perceives another's deficiencies perceives through his own deficiencies. Why? Because if you had love towards this person, imagine that he was your child. Despite the fact that you see negative qualities in him, you still love him. These negative qualities exist, but you love him. Imagine that this is how you need to relate to your friend. Let it be so. It's not a complete correction, but it's enough so as to not be confused. Every friend, especially a friend in a group, every person, especially a friend in a group, is a part of your soul. So, despite the fact that he has negative qualities, I still accept these negative qualities as my own. I still love him because he is a part of me. I can criticize these qualities. I try to correct them. I can accept his qualities as my own and try to correct them through myself and correct him through correcting myself. If I correct in myself those qualities that I perceive as being in him, I'm talking about only spiritual qualities. Then, if I correct them in me, I will see him corrected. Why? Not because I saw him correctly or incorrectly, before, but because by correcting myself, I also correct him thereby.
Вот. А что значит только духовный свойства?
Mastomer, what does it mean, spiritual attributes, only spiritual attributes?
Как мне могут видеться?
Attributes, how
I
can
don't
I
know what else you
perceive?
might not like about him.
Я не знаю. Допустим, у него есть какая-то привычка земная.
Suppose he has some kind of a corporeal habit.
Сморкаться в рукав.
I don't know. He blows his nose on his sleeve. Is that a good example?
Ты не можешь этого терпеть. Но это
You can't stand it. But it has nothing to do with his spiritual qualities.
Вот получается какое-то примерно такое же, может быть, на порядок меньше.
As a result, this example,
Каббалисту вот как?
a Kabbalist,
Каббалисту вот как нужно?
as a student of a Kabbalist, how do you need to deal with outer people? Do you have to be more loyal than before, or do you need to continue to live how you lived before?
Как сказать? В том смысле,
How to say, in meaning,
Каббалист должен смотреть на всех.
человека, например, избил.
Не знаю, о чем ты говоришь. Послушай меня только, послушай.
I don't know. Just listen to what I say. A Kabbalist needs to look at all of reality as the Creator's manifestation. It's the Creator who presents all these things to him so that he could correct his perception, so that instead of this world, he would start seeing the world of infinity, of perfection. But it's not that he would concoct it in his imagination, but gradually, through his correction, he would truly see it as such. Then we will see him, then we will see in our ego, right now we see an incorrect world, a corrupt world. Then as we correct the ego, we start seeing the world as more corrected through the world of infinity, and we still see it through the same ego. That's the only material we have, the will to receive. In this will to receive, currently, today, I see a horrible world because my will to receive is incorrect, and it's being revealed more and more and more. Its lack of correction. We need to aspire to correct this will to receive. And ideally, we want to aspire to correction at a faster pace than the way that it's being revealed and its natural pace. Right now, we're at the very top of this great desire. I'm going to draw this for you. Currently, we're at this part right here, 0. This is the part that we are currently in today. We are correcting this part. If the next part, it will be already a different desire. 1, then 2, then 3, and 4. These desires are greater and greater. They go from 0 and all the way through infinity. So we need to, the speed at which the desires appear, this is the speed. We need to increase it so that our speed, our pace, the pace at which we correct the desires would be greater or at least equal to the speed with which the Creator is revealing the desire for us. Then we will always be in a positive state. Right now we do not have that pace, that speed. That is why every day we have all these new negative revelations of these pictures of reality revealing, manifesting. This is what we need to do. Essentially, though, we see everything in our desire.
скорость мы сможем, ну, набрать ее как-то? Вот я вот
Speed, can we gain it?
например, какой-то выход по распространению, чувствуется...
I see that when we go out to disseminate, there's some egoism is added, and we cannot overcome it. It's very difficult.
Любой шаг вперед,
And any step forward, it's very hard to retain this dynamism, dynamics. You reveal and you
Открывается эгоизм после удачного распространения.
Why are you not happy that your ego is revealing after successful dissemination?
не получается как бы...
am, but I feel that it's doesn't come out. These accelerations that it would worked out fast. I want to work it out fast. I don't want to get stuck on this.
That's your ego pushing you. Rise above your ego means you want to profit from your dissemination. You want to feel good, you want to feel successful, confident. But why do you need that?
Захочется заработать.
Все нормально.
Creator.
That's fine. Just keep going.
Can I have one more question? Roland is as a representative on the Moscow group, young Moscow group. The young group has taken responsibility to attract the members into the group. This project, does it unite the group? This general, they come out together. They basically advertise the young people, young group, from the perspective of the unity.
Of course it unites them, of course.
Question today is the historical event. Moscow's young group and Peter's young group got together. What's your advice? What's the topic that they should concentrate on?
Что я вам скажу, товарищи? Вообще
What can I tell you, friends?
все молодежные группы
To connect all the young groups
в мире мы организуем вместе.
that we have all around the world, to organize them, connect them together, I think it's a very big thing. I would perhaps even do a separate congress for them, maybe like a virtual one, or maybe in person for the young group members. Let's see if we can do it. How many people we have that we could engage in this? Maybe we have a lot of people that we can get together and really stimulate them, charge them. Think about it. I would say, in general, pay more attention to young groups. Don't worry about yourselves. We do need to
Надо все-таки думать о том, что
think
именно они дадут нам жизнь и будущее.
that, understand that it is they who will give us life and future, and it's not us, that we're so experienced that we could provide for ourselves and serve ourselves. No, we shouldn't think that way. It's the children who are the future. So we need to engage them and attract them and invite them over to show them only good examples, to prepare ourselves to when we speak with them, when we engage in them, when we entertain them. Men and women, I very much recommend this. Very much.
Еще раз я говорю, может быть и правильно, что молодежная
Again,
группа существует отдельно.
perhaps it's a good thing. It's correct that the young group is by itself. Maybe they can preserve themselves better that way. But you do need to take care of them. You will receive from them more than they have received and will receive from you. Well, now I think that we've exhausted all the questions. Yes? Yes, I think so. What, Kiev is the only one left? All right, Kiev. Let's see what you got for us. We can't say no to Ukraine.
There are friends asked here in regards to acceptance of a friend to the group. We have 14 people. That's the core of the group. That's the people that minimum 4 times a week come to the lessons. They pay masel. They participate in dissemination. And we have a young group, we have a society, like the community with lesser attendance. And in our, it's written that in our rules of conduct that the member of the group is accepted by the unanimous decision of the entire group. So the question arises, for many months, a friend can come to the events and they cannot get into the core of the group because they have certain problems, because one or the other friend cannot accept another group, that friend into the group, and we cannot make this unanimous decision. Or sometimes we can't even gather together, and some has leave somewhere, and we can't make this decision because we don't have all the members of the group in to make that decision. How is it carried out in regards to acceptance of the group into the member of the group?
Was this the first time that you're encountering this? Why is it that other groups don't have a solution to this? But the Petah group hasn't dealt with this. You need to ask other groups. Why aren't you connecting and asking for their guidance? Why don't you learn from each other? You need to. We need to learn from each other. You need to show that you can unite and to give each other the right information, the correct information, along with your experience. Moscow.
Hello, Rav. I have this question. You said that you need to relate toward the friend with love, like to your own child. Can I relate toward the friend to a child if I don't have my own child? How can I do that?
Remember how your mother used to treat you. Something that you can look to as an example. Look at a cat, a mother cat, and the way she treats her kittens. But we don't have enough examples of these things in this world. When we have natural love, natural meaning it's
natural love,
by law
which is given. The directions are given to the cat to love the kittens. That's it. To a certain degree. And then there is no more connection between her and kittens. And we see the force that obligates her. That's how you must obligate yourself to love your friends. Only that the Creator doesn't give you, and He doesn't push you to love your friends. He gives you the resistance, and you need to do in spite of that. You need to act in spite of that to love your kittens.
In that case, will it help to recommend the friends? If I have kids, will I be able to advance in this?
Just observe cats and kittens for now.
The desire to follow Petah Tikva and everything cancels a lot of holidays. For instance, New Year's.
You can easily celebrate New Year's. Don't get drunk for 2 weeks. It's a good holiday. Get together. It's a kind holiday. Get together and participate in it. What's the big deal? Drink a little bit, sing a little bit, have a good time. Although it's accepted to do it in the family circle. So do this in Whoever wants in your center, gather together as in family, not necessarily for New Year's at 12 a.m. with small kids, but gather for the next day with kids. Get some sweets for your kids and sit together. Spend some time together. What's in it? Vodka, oливье, and bread. That's all that's necessary to celebrate New Year's. Thank you, guys. Let it be the great year we needed so much, and not only that, we can do it. Good luck to all of you, Moscow, Kiev, St. Petersburg, and to the rest. Bye bye.